You're learning with 9 to 5 English. Business English for the workplace. Hi, Tim here with another 9 to 5 English lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to ask for and give advice. Everybody needs a little help sometimes, and when you need help, you shouldn't be afraid to ask for advice. Maybe you ask a friend or colleague, or maybe you ask a boss or mentor. Whatever the case, I want to give you some good ways to get advice. One nice way is to ask for advice before you explain your problem. For example, you might say, "I was wondering if you could give me some advice." Or, if the person already understands the situation, you can just ask, "What do you think I should do?" Or maybe, "What do you think I should say?" How about a bit of practice on asking for advice? Let's try some examples. Listen to each question, then repeat it for yourself. Ready? Let's get started.
What do you think I should say to Joan?
If you were me, what would you do?
How would you suggest I respond to their request?
I was wondering if you could give me some advice.
Did you notice that question about if you were me? That's another great way to ask for advice, by asking them to imagine a situation. And when you're asking someone to imagine something, or when you are imagining, you need to use that word would. Now, I said that everyone asks for advice, right? Well, everyone also gives advice. Maybe you are that friend or colleague who is asked to make a suggestion. Let's start with giving gentle advice. By that, I mean you're just suggesting possibilities, and you don't want someone to think you're telling them what they must do. The best way to do this is with a question. You can start with either "How about?" or "Why don't you?" Let's give this a try. Remember to repeat the examples after you hear them.
How about having a staff meeting about it?
Why don't you just ask him to explain?
If I were you, I would take the job.
You could always try calling tech support.
Nice work. And did you notice the sentence about "if I were you"? Remember, that's an imagined situation. So we use the word would, and you can also use the word could to say, "Here's one possibility." Saying "you could" is a gentle way to give advice. But sometimes you don't want to be gentle. Sometimes you have a very strong idea about what someone should do. And that's when you should use expressions like should, had better, and ought to. Let's try some more practice. This time, We're giving strong advice. Repeat the examples and try to notice the expressions that mean should.
You should talk to HR about your problem.
You'd better find someone to edit your work.
You really ought to get approval before spending the money.
You'd be crazy not to ask for a better deal.
That last example was a very strong way of giving advice. If you say someone's crazy not to do something, you mean they should definitely do it. All right, we've practiced some examples on asking for and giving advice. But how does this sound in a conversation? Let's listen to a dialogue between Justin and Brenda. Justin wants some advice about a job offer.
What do you think I should do about this job offer?
If I were you, I'd probably take the job.
Yeah, it sounds interesting, but the salary is pretty low.
Then you should try to negotiate a better deal.
Did you hear how that worked? Justin asked for advice, and Brenda made a couple of suggestions. Now it's your turn to practice. We'll repeat the dialogue, but this time we're going to beep out the second speaker's words. You will have to say those parts yourself. Remember to start by saying that you would take the job. Then you'll suggest negotiating a better deal. Here we go.
What do you think I should do about this job offer? Yeah, it sounds interesting, but the salary is pretty low.
All right, that about does it for this lesson. We've learned some great ways to ask for and give advice. Tune in next time to learn some more useful English expressions. Until then, so long and happy learning.